Hello and welcome back to the Metamystic Show. This week we're going to talk about the winner's mindset and 3 ways to think like a winner. The first thing that we need to do if we want to become a winner in life is we need to start right here, right in the core, right in the center of our chest. And that means going deeper than the successes and the achievements. We need to start with ourselves and think about the deeper aspects of the way that things work. Today we're going to talk about fate and the fact that fate is more malleable than we realize. When we talk about fate, what are we talking about? Well, let me read the exact definition. Fate is a set of predetermined events that we feel are beyond human control. Like, for example, you're born in a certain location. You're born a certain gender. You are born in a certain socioeconomic status. You're rich, you're poor. Even down to our biology, my mother struggled with her weight, so I'm struggling with my weight. It runs in the family. These can be very practical examples of what fate is, but this is when fate gets a little deeper than that. Fate, or what's seen as fate, is often seen as a force or a power that determines the course of one's life. Way number 1 to think like a winner is to make fate your friend. Because befriending fate is befriending yourself. It's befriending your own lineage. It's befriending who you are instead of working against who you are. You know how people say, get out of your own way? The first step to becoming successful is to make sure that we are not actually actively opposing our own selves. I want to read you guys the chorus from my new song. Fate, My Friend is what it's called. I'm going to play it at the end of this episode for you guys. This is what inspired this episode. I couldn't win for losing, time and time again. So I made my bed, made fate my friend. Fate, my friend. So way number 1 to think like a winner is to make fate your friend and realize nobody is coming to save us, right? And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, even if everybody showed up at your door right now with all of the best intentions in the world, at the end of the day, it's up to us to look at our own selves and to befriend our own selves, because nobody can make that happen for you, right? So whether we have people there or we don't have people there, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, this reality is a mirror to our own selves. It's of our own, I shouldn't say it's of our own making. It's in our control to change it if we don't like how it is. So way number 1 has a lot to do with befriending ourselves and making fate our friend. Like shaking hands with fate instead of thinking to ourselves, this is kind of a lost cause. Wow, I struggled as a kid when it came to confidence. Like that's me, for example. Like I was heavily bullied. Like I was homeschooled, and then in 7th grade, I went to public school and I was heavily bullied to the point where I developed an eating disorder and I developed self-harm. And then I struggled with that self-harm for 17 straight years. And so I could sit here and I did. I played the victim. And I mean that in a way of like, I look back at myself and I try to think about her as my own daughter, and I think to myself, you did the best you could, Missy. So like I said, we need to befriend ourselves and not be against ourselves, but at the same time, I see I did not have a winner's mindset. I had the mindset that I was a loser. You're not a loser. That is step number one, is not turning in on your own self. We need to like pull that apart and look at it. I was bullied, so I felt like I was some sort of a freak. I had trouble socially, and I just had a lot of issues with just basic stuff, what I consider to be basic human interactions. I had extremely high anxiety, depression. I would just have a hard time. Like, it seemed like it was just easy for everybody else, and the smallest things were very, very hard for me, right? And see how I'm talking right now? I'm talking to you from a person that has spent many, many, many years cultivating this winner's mindset. This is not easy, and it is more complicated than we make it. I'm not trying to be discouraging. I have this line in my song that I wrote: life is not a rhyme, it's a riddle. Right? So we shouldn't waste our life trying to figure out why that happened, or why was I bullied, or what's wrong with me, or this and that. I'm not saying we can't do like shadow work and self-introspection. I'm just saying the better thing to spend your time on is cultivating the winner mindset. And in cultivating this winner mindset, that is when the other stuff will just kind of fall away, dissipate on its own, instead of trying to figure it out and dissect it. And I'm a Virgo stellium. Like, I take a microscope and try to figure out, like, what are all those little moving things in there? Like, what am I seeing? What am I understanding? Sometimes we actually need to zoom out and focus on the present moment and think to ourselves, wow, that was really hard what I went through. Absolutely. I have compassion on myself. I did the best that I could through that situation, but that doesn't define me for the rest of my life. Just because I struggled socially back then doesn't mean I have to struggle socially now. And I've been working on that for years and years and years and years, right? That's just one example, is befriending ourselves instead of saying, what's wrong with you, you idiot? Just, like, instead of doing all of that, which is literally going to destroy us, we should make ourselves our friend instead of our enemy, right? Way number 2, fate can be changed. Fate is malleable. We don't have to just accept, well, this is my fate in life, I guess. Fate can be changed. I have this lyric in my song that I wrote: we make the rules of it all, but no one wants to take the blame, right? We don't want to think that fate is in our control, a lot of us. It's easier to say, why me? Why can't I just get ahead? Why is life so hard for me? Why does nobody like me? Why am I so weird? Like, what's my problem? It's much easier to go that direction. That was always my main coping mechanism. Instead of blaming other people, I found it a sick sense of comfort to actually blame myself and invert into myself and blame myself. Missy, you're such a loser. What is wrong with you, dude? Just be normal. Like, just be normal. Like, I would hurt myself physically for that. Do you think that did anything for me? No, that did not change my fate. That actually, I was digging my heels in further to my so-called fate. That this perception that I was this, like, monster that couldn't fit in anywhere and nobody loved me, and that's why my thoughts got darker and darker and darker through the years. And then you add alcohol to that, you add pills to that. Good luck, you know what I mean? Like, I had to take my life like a bull by the horns and literally change my brain chemistry to be sitting here talking to you today. So way number 2, it's understanding that there is hope, that fate can be changed, but It's a responsibility thing. When you have been through a lot of like abusive situations and you have addictions and vices and you feel bad about yourself, when you get really deep into that and you feel so far gone, that's why I wrote here, we make the rules of it all, but no one wants to take the blame. We make the rules of it all, and fate can always be changed. Life is bitter and strange, but it's beautiful. We don't have to live in a state of toxic positivity. That's not what a winner's mindset is. That doesn't mean that we bypass our feelings. If somebody hurt you, especially God forbid, if you were in some sort of an abusive situation, we're not just like, oh, good luck with that, Susan. Oh, well, just look on the bright side. It's like, look on the bright side. You need to pack your bags and get out of there. No questions, right? We're not here talking about a winner's mindset saying we need to think positively and only think positively and that's our way to success. No. It's the understanding of the balance of both. It's not about being toxically positive and only thinking about the good. In fact, I would deny that. I don't think that that's a true perspective. I don't think that's a balanced perspective of reality. I feel like the balanced perspective of reality is what I wrote here. Life is bitter and strange, but it's beautiful. Things happen. We were born in the way we were born, into the situations we were born into. We have dealt with hard things, all of us, that make us question if we can be successful or if things will ever get better. All of us have our own personal reasons that get in our heads that block us from success and block us from achievements because we feel like, well, that happened last time. We all have those things, right? And I'm not saying to deny those things. It's actually the opposite. Embrace all of that. Going back to point number 1, making your own self your friend, befriending yourself. And therefore, when you befriend yourself, you make fate your friend. You are befriending your own reality at that point. Therefore, you have control over your reality because you become one with your reality. Instead of turning a blind eye to it, being in denial about reality, that things have been hard and we've had to go through whatever each of us have had to go through, right? Instead of avoiding that, actually embracing that and saying, you know what, we did the best we could with what we knew at that time, right? Embracing that, and then also looking at what we do have. Understanding that we are capable of more, and then putting that to the test. Instead of just letting that wheel of fortune keep on spinning. We have control over our own fate, but it's up to us to choose that. Which brings me to way number 3 of how to think like a winner. The idea that life is what you make it. You control your own reality. You are the magician of your own reality. Point number 1, we talked about befriending fate. Accepting, it's like radical acceptance. Accepting that this is my life, accepting that this is what things are. Way number 2 was understanding, now that I've come into acceptance, now I understand, wait, I have all this raw matter in my hands. All of this life experience that I have in my hands, good, bad, all these experiences, memories, I have it in my hand. It's like raw material. I can begin to work with that like clay, right? Fate can be changed. And that one thought alone is what opens up the Pandora's box to way number 3, which is that now we actually get to work in the changing of it, in the creation of it. But we first have to believe that that's even possible. And we have to start at the root. It starts with us. Are we against ourselves? Do we think that we're never going to achieve anything? Well, my parents didn't encourage me, and my parents didn't say I could achieve anything. It's not about our parents. It's not about our teachers that didn't believe in us. It's not about ex-partners that were assholes and put us down because they're narcissistic. It's about us taking control of our reality today, right now, and saying, I love myself. I've been through a lot of shit. And I'm proud of how far I've come despite all of that. And patting yourself on the back and being like, damn, dude, I really got here. I made it here. I'm alive today. Even just that alone is an achievement. Once we come to that, then we understand that we can have a different life. We can have a better life, which is point number 2, that fate can be changed. Point number 3, that life is what you make it. That's what I wrote in my song, Life is What You Make It. I'm going to sing that at the end of this episode. You control your reality, right? You are the magician of your own life. But we have to believe that. We have to believe in the magic. We have to visualize that we can be sitting on this horse. Visualize yourself on this horse. Visualize yourself in a higher paying job. Visualize yourself with a loving partner that embraces your quirks instead of putting you down. Visualize yourself on this horse as you're walking through the grocery store, and instead of going to the Doritos, you go over to the kombucha instead. You know? Everything begins within, right? And the way that we manifest it outside of us is through that belief, but it has to start inside. A winner's mindset is something that needs to be intentionally cultivated. It's not just going to happen naturally. And there's nothing wrong with you that you're not able to just naturally have this positive winner's mindset. This is something that takes cultivation, that we need to continue to work on and continue to think about and correct certain thought patterns and put certain things into action and see, okay, I went for a 15-minute walk today. The next week, I went for a 20-minute walk. Now I'm able to go on a 45-minute walk 3 months later. We need to see these achievements in the reality, which is being a magician. It's as simple as that. It's putting it into action. The things that we believe inside, the things that we see inside, we make them possible by walking them out. It's as simple as that. So I love you guys. It's been Missy Gordon, the Metamystic here. And here is my song, Fate, My Friend. Couldn't win for losing, time and time again. So I made my bed, made fate my friend. Fate my friend. Triple braided cord, 7-layer fate. Worms beneath the dirt demonstrate. Life is what you make it. Life is what you make it. Life is what you make it. Spin the wheel one more time. It'll only cost you a dime and your life. Don't gamble with your time. Life is not a rhyme. It's a riddle. And that's why I keep my eyes on the sky. Better use of my time. You can move the tides of your life with your mind if you try. Couldn't win for losing, time and time again. So I made my bed, made fate my friend. Fate my friend. Life is what you make it. Life Life is what you make it. Life is what you make it. We make the rules of it all, but no one wants to take the blame. We make the rules of it all. Fate can always be changed. Life can be bitter and strange, but it's beautiful. Couldn't win for losing, time and time again. So I made my bed, made fate my friend. Fate my friend.